Are you spending time and energy and advertising dollars getting people to come to websites, but they're just not converting and becoming customers? Hi, I'm AJ Davis. I'm the founder of Experiment Zone. We help businesses figure out what's standing in the way when visitors come to their site and ultimately don't convert. And today I'm going to be talking about some basic things that you can start with for landing pages to make sure that you get that conversion. So what we're going to cover today is we're going to take a close look at some landing pages and examples. We're going to make sure you're effectively communicating your purpose. We're going to talk about how to evaluate your visitors' engagement with the page. And then we're going to talk about how to identify things that will make improvements to that conversion rate. And at the end, I've got a couple of giveaways from Experiment Zone for you. So experience optimization is the process of understanding at each point along the customer journey what things are getting in customers' ways, what they need. It's all the different things, the little points of friction that ultimately determine whether or not somebody sticks around and becomes a customer, or if they leave and find another solution. So we break this down into 4 steps. We talk about discovery. So this is learning about the business. Where do they first hear about the brand or about the offering? This often takes place before the website or on specific landing pages. Now, landing pages can also provide education. So getting into the details about why you need this solution, why it's important to have this service. Once they get a handle of what this business is all about, then they start talking and looking at browsing. So if there's multiple solutions available, multiple products available on the website, then browsing is the approach that will help them ultimately land on a specific solution that they'll decide is right for them. So they'll take a look around, they'll figure out what the right solution is, and once they're feeling convinced by the right solution, then they decide to purchase or convert. For some websites, this is going to look like signing up for an appointment or reaching out and filling out a form. So that's the ultimate conversion step. And at each of these 4 points along the journey, customers have different needs. They have different levels of information they need. They have things that may be distracting to them or may be essential to them. And so we need to find the right balance of information and placement of this information so that we get visitors to convert. And experience optimization is the process of figuring this all out using data both from customers, behavioral data from Google Analytics or other tools, and through things like A/B testing. So before we get started, this session will be interactive. You're going to get a lot more out of this if you pull up a specific website, whether it's your own or your client's, and follow along. I'm going to be flying through a couple of questions at the beginning, and you may want to pause on each of these sections and get a pen and paper and jot down the answers before you move on through the rest of the video. If you want feedback on the things that you're discovering as you work through this, join us at experimentzone.com or find our Facebook community, Grow Through Empathy. We have an engaged community at Grow Through Empathy where people jump in with questions and we talk about different strategies for improving your customer journey and ultimately getting more of those conversions. So be sure to join. All right, so the first thing that you'll need to write down is the purpose of this website. So what's the purpose of this business or this brand? Are there things that particularly drive this business? Certain things or causes that really are the underpinning of why this business exists? Why do you do what you do? Make sure to write this down. Question 2 to write down is what the problem is that this business solves for its customers. So sometimes customers will have specific challenges. They'll have certain ambitions that they're working towards. So this may be something that's painful, or this may be something that's more aspirational. But you want to write this down in really plain English, just so it's very clear. This is the thing that you're struggling with. I understand you, and we can communicate that through our website. The third piece of information we need to design a great landing page is the solution. This is a place I see a lot of businesses struggling with, is just plainly stating what it is that they offer. Sometimes they rely on their logo to carry the weight or the name of the business to carry this information, but we really just want to make sure we're plainly stating, without a lot of work for the visitor, this is what we do. You also want to talk about what is unique about your solution. So the last question we have is why you? So why is it that visitors should become your customer versus your competitors? This can be a range of different things. Sometimes it's conveniences, like we're available by phone or text or Zoom. It could be certain hours that you keep. It could be your expertise, so having, you know, a certain type of degree or certification. And the last category that we often see really impact customer behavior is social proof. So are there testimonials? Are there quotes that you can provide of people who have experienced these product or services, who ultimately kind of can back up and show the evidence that this is a solution that will be right for this visitor to the site? And you want to jot these down, and you want to, you know, clearly state these value propositions on your site as well. So now that you have all 4 of these answers, we're going to talk about how to shape them into the landing page. So the site needs to be able to convey very specifically and simply these pieces of information. What's the problem the business solves? How does the business solve it? And why should I go with this business for my problem? There are different ways of assessing how well the website's working. So you could look at the conversion rate alone and understand how many people fill out a form or sign up divided by the total number of people who come. That's your conversion rate. It's a great number, but you do need to also understand what might be causing friction if you want to increase the number. So here's a couple of ways to look about it. So you can figure out if people get it when they come to your site using tools like 5secondtest.com. You can also do this informally with friends or family or colleagues, but those people tend to not give you the honest answers. They may be more critical or less critical, or they may be less familiar since they don't have the same problem your customers might have. So using something like 5secondtest.com will help you understand, for people without the context of who you are and what your business does, what people's first impression is. It pulls up your site for 5 seconds, and then it presents a question, and you can write the question. So here's some examples of what you might ask. What is this website about? What can you do on this website? And once you get those answers back, you'll get a clear sense for where some opportunities may be, where you're falling short in being able to convey the answers to those 3 questions quickly. So now what we're going to do is we're going to switch gears and we're going to look at some example sites. I'm based in Austin, Texas, and so I pulled up a couple of therapy sites just using Google search and the landing pages that they provided. So looking at these 2 different examples, the first thing I'm going to ask is, what's above the fold? So this is the information that I see without scrolling. Now this page in particular has a pretty prominent green navigation, meet our team, testimonials, counseling services. It's a little bit of work to find out that this is a counseling site. They say connect more deeply with others, build lasting and meaningful relationships. So these are speaking to maybe my aspirations or some of the challenges that I have. And I can also see that they're open for online counseling. So there's some specific information that's being conveyed here, and I can see that I can make an appointment. And generally this information is easy to read. There's enough contrast between the text and the background that I'm not feeling any issues with the size of the font, the color of the font, the placement of things. I can pretty easily scan this and see what this site is about, but it's not plainly stating what kind of counseling services they offer, or even that they are. I had to look into the navigation to see it. So what I would love to see is discover the happiness or connect more deeply with others, you know, personal one-on-one counseling services or group counseling services, whatever it is that they're offering, to state that plainly just below that solution that they're describing. Let's look at one more example. This is another one out of Austin. They're specializing in LGBTQ issues. I love how plainly they're stating they're Austin therapist and they have a specialty. So it's telling me who they are, where they are, and the type of people that they help, and related, the kinds of problems they solve. So LGBTQ related issues. However, there's a big block of text on the right side. So there's a lot for me to do. It's a lot of work for me to do here. And the main call to action here seems to be advanced search. So I'm not really sure what that's going to all be about. So just above the fold, I'm not quite sure what this is. I realize who it's for, that there is some therapist stuff. It looks like I can create a profile, but I'm not 100% sure what actions I can do if I wanted to get therapy here. So the other thing we want to talk about is the call to action. So what is it that visitors do if they want to become a customer? And we want to get this right pretty early on in our design. And so this usually will be something above the fold, and it will usually be a button, a form, or a calendar scheduler. And this is just the way that people know, hey, I want to take action on the site. This is what I can do. So if I go back to the first page, there's one primary call to action, this make an appointment. That seems pretty straightforward. I understand what I'm getting. I would love for it to say like counseling appointment or something else. But I think it's visually conveying this is the action to take if you're ready to go. Now, I would hope that as I scroll down the page, I would be given other opportunities to make an appointment. So I see one here. And hopefully I see some under this. Okay, I see one here. So generally, there's a pretty good kind of optionality in terms of where I can be clicking. And with this therapy den as well, I'm now seeing that it's a listing for different counselors, but I'm not sure how I get in touch with them. Like, is this intended for me to get in touch with them or not? I did search for Therapy Austin, so I would expect that that would be something that would come up in my search results. But it looks like my most prominent action is this red button, this advanced search. So now it's taking me to a place where it looks like I'll be able to find someone and see where they're located. So this is okay, but I would have liked on the previous page for there to be clear call to actions on what I was supposed to do, potentially even some step-by-steps of here's what you need to do to take more action. All right, so just a couple of things before we wrap up today. So the key takeaways in summary, make sure your website is telling visitors what you provide and why you're the right business to provide it. Focus first on content above the fold. This is where the first impression is made. And make sure you have clear calls to action that direct visitor attention to that conversion. So that way, when they're ready to make that move, they know what they can do and they know where to do it. And also conduct regular analysis. You should make sure you're keeping a close eye at what that conversion rate is, but you should also be doing things like the 5secondtest.com. You should also be setting additional events on the page so you can see how far people scroll, what they're clicking on, if there's a specific form field that they're getting stuck on. And you want to make sure you're always testing out and experimenting with different ways of presenting the information and measuring the impact so you can put your best foot forward. So here we go. Here are some tools that you should make sure to use. 5secondtest.com. This is where you can get that first impression of your site. Hotjar, Crazy Egg, there's a whole bunch of tools out there that will allow you to understand how far people are scrolling, where they're focusing their attention with their mouse, and ultimately where they're clicking. And Google Analytics is a powerhouse for being able to understand specifically what your visitors interacting with and what might be drawing them away. So be sure to take advantage of some of the custom options for setting up events to understand what people are doing. So the giveaway. If you go to experimentzone.com, we've got the conversion report card. You will get 3 to 5 specific conversion things that you can do in order to drive up the customer experience of your site and ultimately see more conversions. So make sure to submit your site at experimentzone.com for that free feedback. You can also join our monthly webinar. We have a webinar at growththroughempathy.com where we cover various topics around marketing and conversion rate optimization. And as I mentioned at the start, be sure to join our free Facebook group so that you can reach out to me directly and join in on our great discussions. And if you're curious to learn more about conversion rate optimization, go to experimentzone.com. We've got a great blog post which takes you through in much more detail all the specific ways that conversion rate optimization can help out your business. Thanks so much for listening in.